Hey kids, how the heck are you? I'm John Michael Bailey, and welcome to the Wellspring Digital Chat, where through a massive charm offensive, we've been able to really kind of con a bunch of marketing experts to come in and talk to me. And it's purely selfish. I'm really just trying to improve my own personal knowledge base, but in doing so, it seems I have unlocked some great bits of information for you, the viewer. So I hope you don't mind that all of this is a selfish endeavor. But, at the end of the day, isn't it really all about, taking care of number one? I don't know.
It's an easy sell. There's no marketing person that is going to be like, yeah, I really don't feel like talking about myself on your podcast. I'm sorry.
Yes. So I know of our guest, John Wall, as the co-host of the long-lived and very awesome podcast with Chris Penn called Marketing Over Coffee. I will put a link in the show notes, and I highly recommend checking it out. He's also a partner with Wellspring Digital Chat alums Katie Robbert and the aforementioned Christopher Penn at Trust Insights. So John has always struck me as the normal one. But, we'll see. We'll see. So, John, welcome. Please take a moment to introduce yourself to these fine folks.
Oh, thank you. Well, you hit the high points there. I'm best known as the producer and co-host on Marketing Over Coffee. And then, we've been doing that for over 15 years. And about 3 or 4 years ago, Chris Penn spun off from Shift Communications. Katie Robbert went with him, and she's the CEO and keeps us all in line. And so I started working with Trust Insights. The stuff we were doing with Marketing Over Coffee overlapped so well that it just made sense to do stuff with them. And I live out in the middle of nowhere in Western Massachusetts and have 2 kids and a dog. So I have no free time.
See, now, technically, can you really call anywhere in Massachusetts middle of nowhere? Because it's kind of a small state and it's on the East Coast, but I'll give it to you.
Well, it's something because I'm on the very western side, so I can throw a rock into Vermont or New York for where I'm at.
Oh, okay.
And for most people, Worcester is Western Mass, maybe right. Springfield. So right. We're
in the hinterlands.
Exactly.
All right, so I read your bio, and you love dogs and you love metal. So already I know we're good. But I want to get into some marketing talk here and see if we can, get a little deep. So, you ready to bring some knowledge to these good folks?
Let's give it a shot. It's worth a try.
Do it. All right. So, I always got to fit in a pandemic question when I have a chance. Why not? But you used to work for an events marketing agency, and I'm curious what your take is on the effect of the pandemic on events. Are there any, positive unintended consequences that marketing people may be missing? Are there new opportunities for them that they may be missing in your view?
Yeah, no, the short answer is no. This is a total disaster, a complete, burning of the fields and death to everyone. There are a few things that, obviously there's people are going to try and make lemonade out of lemons, and
sure.
There's been a lot of improvement on virtual work front, and meeting software, being able to do stuff virtually, that's come along well. And I think it has forced people to think a little bit longer and harder about, like, who are you going to put on stage? Because that's the real thing, is that live events are not about the presenters or the show at all. It's about going to business people and saying, hey, you can go to this other city for 4 days and you can hang out with people who do what you do and have a good time. And really, for a lot of shows, the speakers and the main sessions were just vendors who ponied up the money to put somebody up on stage and talk about their product. And most of those sessions are terrible. And so this has forced people to say, like, okay, if we're going to put something out there for 50 minutes or an hour, it's got to have, people have to like it, because now that it's virtual, they're not going to show up. They're just not going to be there. And we have seen the data on this. It's been insane. All of these companies where, we used to get, 500 registrations for a webinar and we used to get 120 attend. Now they're like, we got 45 registrants and 3 attended. Like, just webinars, that's been the stake through the heart of webinars. And
Which is kind of surprising, but maybe not, considering everybody was stuck at home. But yeah, well, okay. So follow up to that. What in your mind, what events lately have really kind of weathered the storm the best, or do you feel qualified to answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'd say this quarter right now is the first one where we're having some normal events. In fact, the real bellwether for us is, as we're talking, Dreamforce is going on right now.
Right.
So when we see how many people show up there and how that goes, that's going to be a huge thing. And this is like prime time. We had Inbound last week, or a week before last, I guess, which was pretty normal. It was almost back to normal. So,
content
these things,
marketing world, I think is it going on now or just went on? I forget.
Yeah, that was last week. That's right.
Okay,
Inbound was week before, which was also really weird because normally those two end up on the same week, and people complain because they're having to fly to both at the same time.
Right. So
they actually got those apart. But yeah, I don't know. I think it will be a return to business. I think people want to do this, but the question is, it's just unprecedented in humanity, where we've had something happen where it's really bad for people to get together. I mean, through entire of human evolution, people getting together has always been like, okay, we're safer. It's easier to gather food.
Kind of the point. Yeah.
It's all good. And now it's exacerbated by, there's a lot of introverts that are like, yeah, do we really have to end this lockdown stuff? Like, I kind of like this, not having to go out. I mean, my wife is one of them, right? She's like, she would much prefer to stay at home.
I'm good here. I'm good.
It's Amazon brings me my stuff, and it's life is good. So yeah, no, it's a huge disaster, because I was actually working on an event startup prior to Trust Insights, and it was just completely destroyed. We shut down the domain and went home. And yeah, I don't know. Events are just like such a crazy thing too. Like, you never know what's going to happen when you throw people together. And I could go on forever about some of the insanity that I've seen there, but this is not the insane stories over the beers.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of things getting destroyed, in the Marketing Over Coffee playbook, which is the book companion to your podcast, one of you, I assume it's you, but maybe, I don't know, somebody says accurately that almost every part of marketing gets completely destroyed and rebuilt about every 10 years, which I completely agree with. What's your advice to a marketer trying to keep some sanity in a sea of shiny objects?
Yeah, it's a constant struggle. It really is. And
squirrel.
yeah. It's just like iOS 16 lock screens. Like, I've spent 3 hours on lock screens this past week, and that provides no value whatsoever to anyone. But here I am. The thing that's insane is that, we have this rapid turnover, right? Technology is accelerating, increasing at an accelerating rate, getting worse and worse. But what doesn't change is that as humans, we're still like 10,000 years evolutionarily behind. Like, like, humans are not designed to deal with any of this. Everything around us is now an affront to what we were built to do. So it ends up, as a marketer, you have to translate, how does this affect people? How will their behavior change? What kind of new options do they have? So you're constantly kind of scanning and trying to figure out what to do. And then it's just, there's a spectrum of how much risk you're going to take. Larger organizations take no risk. They just sit back and wait for TikTok to get 1 billion users, and then they'll jump in, versus smaller organizations where, you start to take kind of crazy risks, hoping that you'll pull the slot machine and hit something now and then and get outsized returns to help get you to become a larger company, where you can become stodgy and conservative like everybody else at the top.
I wonder if that's like a sort of a vertical based phenomenon, meaning one type of business is more apt to be to take risk versus another type, which is like, we'll hold back and see if that's real. I mean, do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, there's a complete spectrum, because anything that touches tech, there's so much churn there. It's like the places where you find people now, there was nobody there 2 years ago. And the places that used to work 2 years ago are completely useless in a lot of circumstances. And then contrast that to the restaurant industry. Even the restaurant, like, the pandemic was the first time I think the restaurant industry really got a kick in the pants with having to order online and having to, bring stuff outdoors, have pickups, like things like that. Otherwise, I mean, it took, 20 plus years for them to get into POS systems and to, modernizing a restaurant, because there's just no need to do it really. Like if people are showing up for the pizza, you're all good.
Conflict spurns innovation. It was very interesting to watch the restaurant industry scramble and see who kind of took advantage of it and innovated quickly and took the risks, and it paid off. And then others who just kind of said, we'll just hang out and wait the 2 weeks for the curve to flatten.
Yeah, right. This will just blow over. We'll be fine.
Yeah, it's a nothing burger. So, yeah. You and, speaking of shiny objects, you and Chris are both total tech geeks. In fact, this microphone is a Chris Penn recommendation, and I get compliments on it all the time. So once again, thanks, Chris, for being awesome in your tech recommendations. But I try to follow his advice on tools, apps, and gears. But I'm curious, what's your favorite new app or tool for marketing these days?
Yeah, that's so funny. Well, I just have to laugh because like Chris giving you microphone advice, like that's the classic podcaster thing. It's like, let's just talk about microphones all the time. Right. Like this is the great thing. But so I can, like, I've got the Beats, their new Fit Pro, these earbuds. Right.
Yeah.
It is just insane. I've remembered in my mind, if I open the case up, it will connect all this stuff and everything will go down the drain. So I have to keep it shut.
Right.
But the fact that I would recommend a pair of Beats, like for the past 10 years, I've made jokes about how they're garbage. The line has always been, they make fantastic $50 headphones that they sell for $299.
Right.
But they're just nuts. They're amazingly good. So that's on the gear front. And then for podcasting, the Rodecaster Pro 2, this new soundboard that I've got, is just ridiculous. It's like $2,000 worth of audio gear crushed into a $700 box. So
crap, you just cost me $700. Thanks.
Oh my God. Yeah. If you're doing any audio, it's just nuts because it has all the cool radio, if you really want to get that big radio sound and the phrase that pays, we can hit you with this box. It's totally got that thing going for it. So that's huge. As far, I don't know, it's a little bit weird in that the tools and apps stuff has kind of plateaued a little bit. Like we don't see as much just total change. Now it's kind of like you're having to go through the feature list and be like, okay, do I use Salesforce or HubSpot or Zoho or whatever? Like you really have to kind of dig deep and go. But another rando thing lately too is I've been using Google's mail client on my iPhone, which I never thought that I would be doing, but like it works so much better. It's faster and cleaner. And
isn't that a sign of the apocalypse?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the Beats. You're just like, why the hell does that even work? And I think my theory is that when I'm using the Apple client and trying to get my Gmail, I think that Gmail is being like, oh yeah, sure, you'll get it in 30 seconds. And meanwhile, if I get the Gmail app, I'm like, wow, everything's so fast. And it's like, I'm too damn cheap. I still just cannot buy Superhuman for $30 a month. I'm just like, $30 for, it would probably save me 20 hours a year, but I'm just like curmudgeon-y old man. Like I'll be dead before I pay $30 a month for an email client. This is ridiculous.
I am such a curmudgeonly old man when it comes to technology. I get so cranky with software and their user experience. I'm such a snob. I'm just like, why would they put this here? It doesn't.
Yeah, no, you totally get it. It's like, and I've even come to the point now, like I used to just try everything new all the time. And now I'm like, no, I'll wait till 16.2. I'm not going to download 16 because like there might be something weird that's going to hose me and I don't want to do it. I'm too cranky to deal with that.
It's exhausting too, because there's constantly some new software or feature or whatever. It's like, all right. Okay.
It's like the letdown. I love when you're like contemplating the upgrade. And of course, because you're a geek, you go into the release notes and you see like, there's like 65 things and they're all like for devices you don't have, it's like, hey, pen support on the iPad. And you're like, oh, I don't have a damn pen. But it's, you got to love that kind of stuff. It's just life of the geek.
Oh, that's great. So, it's staying with technology for a second. In the world of automation, we keep coming up with new and clever ways to grab someone's attention in the inbox. It's a sacred place, and we keep invading it. But recipients are getting better at sniffing out and ignoring a pitch. So, are we fighting a losing battle, or is there another approach that marketers might be missing with automation?
Automation is always there and cranks up. The analogy I have, my tired analogy that I always roll out, is surfing. Marketing is just like surfing, right? It's like, it's all the same principles, but every day is different. Every wave is different. You have to kind of do different things. And so you can get into this, spy versus spy or cat versus dog thing of just like, oh, okay, this week it's having an emoji in the subject line, like that works. And it will work for like a month or two or whatever, depending on how tired and how, fast your vertical is. So, there's a lot of things you can do with that. I think when it comes to pitches, though, people just get the pitch wrong. I mean, the biggest thing that I see is that people make pitches and they're bragging about features. They're just like, hey, version 23.5 is out, get it today. And of course, every user is like, I don't give a damn about 0.4 versus 0.5. Like, that means nothing to me. So people who take the time to get a pitch where it's like, hey, would your life be better if you could do this? People that take the time to craft the pitch right, they get through the clutter and they make it work. But yeah, you could say it is always a losing battle. Like you're just always going to roll the dice and stuff is going to work. And eventually it will stop working and you're going to have to find another way to do it. And hopefully you get enough momentum that you have a pile of happy customers. Like that's the ultimate goal, is if you have a pile of happy customers, they're going to talk and refer you and make recommendations. And that's what kind of gets you out of the dungeon of like, okay, we have to every month have an email that gets a 40% open rate, 20% click, or we're going to go out of business. Like you have to get out of that hell, or you're just never going to survive long term.
Well, make it about the reader always, and you'll be in better shape. And it's amazing to me how few organizations recognize that and just lead with features. It's kind of like leading with the chin,
Yeah, well, the insane thing is the worst people that can critique and come up with offers are the people in the company, is the people around the conference room table. Like they hear about the brand every single day. They hear about the features every single day. They are literally the worst possible people you can bounce an idea off of, because they are nowhere near a prospect who's like, who the hell are you? What do you do? I've never heard of you.
What else cracks me up is, oh man, I really shouldn't say this, but I'm going to anyway. But HubSpot, I think they're the ones who coined the term inbound, and I know they have the the inbound conference, and yet I don't know if you can necessarily classify it as outbound, but they're pretty aggressive. And in my mind, I wonder, like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, and I'm trying to not get
into but it's too bad we're not over drinks, because I have a fantastic story about this, about HubSpot. Like, let's just be honest, right? At HubSpot, there is a room where there's like a ton of salespeople who are following up with leads and trying to get deals to close.
Smiling and dialing.
They are the inbound company, and inbound is often the most cost effective and the way to go. But the reality is any company that's answers to the street is trying to deliver the quarterly number, and churn and burn, smile and dial is part of that. Whether you want to believe that or not, it doesn't matter, because that is the way it is. We've seen it. And I've had companies' lawyers come back and tell us, don't talk about that, because you don't have the right to talk about that. And they're also right. So we're not going to go much further on this. But you're totally right that it's true. There is this thing of, ultimately as a marketer, your goal is to change behavior. And so, hopefully you can make some cool stuff that make people, get excited and come over to you and ask you what's going on. But there's always the PT Barnum of like, step right up, come see, this amazing world's smallest hairless dog that is right over here, come get excited about this and come check it out. That's always going to be part of the shtick.
I just had the visual of the world's smallest hairless dog, so I'm going to kind of sit with that for a second.
That's a hot dog. That's the joke. The people pay $5 to go in, and there's a hot dog in the bin, and I've
not heard that one. That's good. Okay.
That's old circus stuff. Yeah, if you dig into old circus stuff, there's a ton of comparisons to present day and swindlers and all kinds of great the lowest of humanity.
It's a little bit bait and switch, but I'll give you some latitude.
Right, exactly.
It's not necessarily false.
It's not a flat out lie, right? It would pass in court. Everyone's they're gonna run you out of town after 4 days, which is what happens to every circus. But you leave with the money. So
now I'm just thinking about the hot dog memes that I can put in the, in the show notes for this. Yeah. But anyway, so I want to, before I let you go, I want to dive into a little bit into Google and content. I'm curious to hear your take on the helpful content update that Google just rolled out. I've seen some people lost their minds about it, and some people thought it was meh. So they continue to put the hammer down, at least publicly, on garbage content with, you know, updates like Panda, with their EAT guidelines in the review guidelines, and this latest update. So do you think it'll work? Because I'll be honest, I still see a lot of crap in Google, even though they claim they're fighting to eliminate it.
Yeah, it's an endless battle for them too. You know, they have the
Sure.
same problem,
Yeah.
right? That it has to go. And the weird thing about this helpful content thing is we've seen some cases where the human written stuff actually didn't make the cut, and some
Yeah.
of the AI stuff has. And when you dig in a little bit more, it's like, well, because the AI stuff is actually better than the, you know, just because a human wrote it doesn't mean it's not garbage.
Right.
So that is totally real. And the other thing that I don't think gets as much press, though, is just the fact that, you know, Google is continually trying to take everybody's lunch. Like originally, the idea was we're a directory and we push you where you want to go. But now they're pulling up answers and content from your site, literally taking your traffic. They're basically, they've become the schoolyard bully now. And that's the bigger part of it, is that, you know, they're just consuming the whole market. And yeah, I don't know.
Well, what was it? They did the one update with the car listings, which was, you know, like, okay, we're gonna show all these car listings right on Google. So sorry about your luck, but we're taking that traffic. You know, hopefully you'll sell some cars.
Yeah, and in a different time, you know, the monopoly bells would be ringing and government would be stepping up already to dismantle that. And you see the same thing on the ad side. Like, it's insane when you think about it. You're like, okay, so wait a minute, you sell it, you manage the channel, and you provide the results, and you don't even have visibility into where the heck they're ending up. Like, it's just insane. But I don't know, that's where we are. And as long as people are throwing money at it and they're making money off it, then everybody's happy. But yeah, it's just, again, the never-ending cycle, fight for your life every day and pray you survive.
I mean, it's pretty unprecedented in the tech world that Google has been top dog for so long. It's kind of unheard of. And you know, I keep waiting, you know, doubtfully that someone's going to come along and knock them off #1 spot, but it just doesn't seem to ever happen. You know, I don't think Microsoft is the company to do it. Bing might be the most wonderful search engine in the world, but Microsoft isn't gonna, you know, they're not sexy enough. So
they're not going to, yeah, I know that, because one of the weird things we've noticed is, so you see all these other search engines pop up. Like I've got,
was it DuckDuckGo and
DuckDuckGo, Ecosia, this one that, you know, they plant a tree for every search and all that stuff, except a bunch of those you dig deeper and you're like, oh yeah, no, that's all Bing data underneath there. You know, that's still all Bing. But yeah, and then it's the human thing. It's just like, well, my Gmail's here, you know, I'm doing Google. I'm just kind of locked in this infrastructure. Like there's no reason for me to go anywhere else. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's no reason to sell your Google stock yet. That's for sure. You know, until something hops on the radar that people like more, there's nothing there.
Well, when the name of your company becomes a verb in the common lexicon, you're kind of solid.
The big question is, you know,
aggressive.
Do these things take over government? Like, do they just become the new the law of the land? Like, you can make a case that eventually it's going to get to that point, but it's
well, great. Now you just ruined my Tuesday. Thanks, John.
That's it. Yeah, if we couldn't get apocalyptic enough with COVID, we're going to turn up another notch.
I'll end this with some sort of mushroom cloud meme. Well, John, there's a lot of great stuff in here, and I really, really appreciate your time. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna stand by what I said. I think you are the normal one, and that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely the extrovert of the bunch, so that factors into it.
So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.